Hello everyone, today we're going to look at Chapter 6, Circles. You can find the midpoint of a line segment by averaging x and y coordinates of its endpoints. The midpoint of a line segment with endpoints x1, y1, and x2, y2 is given by the formula. x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. You will understand it better with an example, which the question says the line segment PQ is a diameter of circle center 2, negative 2. Given that P is 8 and negative 5, and we have to find the coordinates of Q. Firstly, we're going to draw a graph. Then on the graph, label all the points given. You know that the point P is 8 and negative 5, and the midpoint is 2 and negative 2, but you can use A and B to represent the coordinates of Q. We know that in order to find the midpoint, we're going to use the formula, which is all the values of x added together, divided by 2, and the values of y added together, divided by 2. Since the midpoint is already given, which is 2 and negative 2, we know that this equals to that. And so the corresponding would equal, for example, 8 plus a divided by 2 equals to 2. And you get that a equals to negative 4, and negative 5 plus b divided by 2 equals to negative 2, so b equals to 1. Since the coordinate of Q is A and B, so it is negative 4 and 1. Similarly, the perpendicular bisector of a line segment AB is the straight line that is perpendicular to AB and passes through the midpoint of AB. Let's look at an example in which we have to find the perpendicular bisector of the line segment joining each pair of points. And the coordinate is negative 5, 8, and 7, and 2. First of all, we're trying to find its gradient. So y2 minus y1 is 8 minus 2 is 6, and divided by x2 minus x1, which is 2. So we get that its gradient is negative a half. So the gradient of the line perpendicular to it is 2, as they will get a multiple of negative 1. Then we will go on to find the midpoint, which is 7 plus negative 5, which is 2, and divided by 2 is 1, and 8 plus 2 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So the midpoint is 1, 5. Then you will try and come up with the equation. Now you're sure that it starts with y equals to 2x plus something. Then you will substitute the values of x, which is 1, and the value of y, which is 5, into it, and you know that you need to add 3 in order for this equation to make sense. However, this is not always the case. What if the numerator or the denominator of the gradient is 0, then what will you do? So this is the thing that I summarized for you guys, and it's not on a book, which is as follows. If the numerator is 0, then the line is vertical, which means it is perpendicular to the x-axis. And if the denominator is 0, then the line will be horizontal, and it will be perpendicular to the y-axis. Let's look at an example of this in which the numerator of the gradient is 0. We have to find the perpendicular bisector of the line segment joining points 13, 11, and 5, 11. So you would do 11 minus 11 divided by 13 minus 5 in order to find its gradient, and you will see that the numerator is 0, and it's 0 divided by 8, but it's still 0. Then you will find its midpoint, which is 13 plus 5 equals to 18, divided by 2 is 9, and 11 plus 11 divided by 2 is 11. So the midpoint is 9, 11, and then we will end up with an equation. Since we know that the numerator is 0, so the line is vertical. And for certain, it will pass through the midpoint 9, 11. And it will pass through the x-axis at 0, 9. Therefore, the equation is x equals to 9. Now we're going to look at the equation of a circle. You can use Pythagoras theorem to derive equations of circles on a coordinate grid. For any point xy on the circumference of a circle, you can use Pythagoras theorem to show the relationship between x, y, and radius r. The equation of circle with center 0, 0, and radius r is represented by this equation: x squared plus y squared equals to r squared. But the more commonly used is that when a circle has center A, B, and radius r, you can use the following general form of the equation of a circle. The equation of the circle with center A, B, and radius r is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared plus r squared. So you don't necessarily need to know the first one with the center 0, 0, and you can use the second one for center with 0, 0 as well. Let's take a look at this example, in which the line segment AB is the diameter of a circle where A and B are 4 and 7 and -8 and 3 respectively. And it asks us to find the equation of the circle. First of all, we're trying to find the center of the circle and the length of its radius. So we need to know the length of AB, which is the diameter, and we will divide it by 2 to get the length of the radius. And we will find its midpoint to give us the point of its center of the circle. In order to find the length of AB, we'll use the formula we looked at before. So it's square root of 4 minus -8 squared plus 7 minus 3 squared, and we get square root of 12 squared plus 4 squared, and we get that it's square root of 160, and 160 can be found by multiplying 16 and 10, and 16 is square of 4, so square root of 160 equals to 4 square root of 10. Since the radius is 4 square root of 10, then the radius is half, so the radius is 2 square root of 10. And now we're going to try and find the center and its coordinates, which is the midpoint of AB. 4 plus -8 divided by 2 is -2, and 7 plus 3 divided by 2 is 5. Now we know its center and the length of its radius, so we can try and come up with the equation. So basically, we would substitute the points that we found now and into the formula.